winter of 1971, Roger and Carolyn Perron thought they had found their dream home, a sprawling 14-room estate in Harrisville, Rhode Island, built in 1736. They packed up their lives and moved in with their 5 young daughters. But the dream shattered before they even finished unpacking. The man who sold them the property looked at Roger with a cold, hollow expression. He didn't offer a congratulatory handshake. Instead, he gave them a single, chilling piece of advice. For the sake of your family, leave the lights on at night. At first, the family brushed it off, but the house began to speak almost immediately. It started with the smell, the sudden, suffocating stench of rotting flesh that would fill a room out of nowhere, freezing the air around them. Then came the brooms. Carolyn would sweep the kitchen, leave the room for a moment, and return to find the broom moved to an entirely different corner, with a neat pile of dirt already swept into the center of the floor. Something was keeping house with them, and it didn't want them there. As the weeks bled into months, the anomalies turned aggressive. The entity wasn't just moving objects anymore. It was revealing itself to the children. The youngest daughters began waking up at precisely 5:15 a.m. every single night. They reported seeing spirits materialize in their bedrooms. Some appeared harmless, like the spirit of a boy the girls called Oliver, who would quietly slide toys across the floorboards. But others were dripping with malice. One night, Cindy, just 8 years old, woke up to a freezing chill. Standing over her bed was a towering apparition of a man with his head canted at an impossible angle. She froze in terror as she heard a disembodied voice whisper directly into her ear. "There are 7 dead soldiers buried in the walls." The terror wasn't confined to the dark. Roger would descend into the dirt floor basement to fix the furnace, only to feel an icy, unseen hand press firmly against his back, pushing him toward the dark corners. The air down there was so heavy it felt like breathing water. The family tried to cope by staying together, but the entities were systematically isolating them, breaking down their psychological defenses one by one. By year 2, the subtle hauntings ceased. The dominant entity of the estate had finally awakened. Local folklore spoke of a woman who lived on the property in the 19th century, Bathsheba Sherman. She was rumored to be a practicing Satanist who had sacrificed an infant with a sewing needle to seal a pact with the dark. Whether the legend was entirely true or not, the force pretending to be her was undeniably demonic, and it targeted Carolyn, the mother. Carolyn became the focus of intense physical torment. She would wake up with deep, agonizing scratch marks across her back and thighs, perfectly parallel lines that looked like they were carved by human claws. One afternoon, while resting on the couch, Carolyn felt a sharp, piercing pain in her calf. When she pulled back her jeans, she found a perfectly circular puncture wound, bleeding heavily. It looked exactly like the strike of a massive sewing needle. The entity wanted Carolyn gone so it could claim the daughters. Voices would scream through the hallways in the dead of night, waking the entire house. "Death is the only way out. Leave or die." Desperate and on the brink of psychological collapse, the Perrons contacted paranormal investigators. When the team arrived, they knew instantly they weren't dealing with a standard ghost. This was a demonic infestation. They attempted a late-night seance in the house's parlor to contact the spirit and demand it leave. It was a catastrophic mistake. During the seance, the temperature in the room plummeted below freezing in seconds. Carolyn's eyes rolled back into her head. Her body stiffened completely, and before the eyes of her horrified husband and children, she was lifted straight out of her chair by an unseen force and hurled across the room, slamming into the wall. She began speaking in a distorted, guttural language that was physically impossible for her to produce. The investigators were forced to flee, admitting that the dark force tied to the land was too powerful to be easily banished. The intervention hadn't saved the Perrons. It had only enraged the entity. Because of severe financial ruin, the Perron family couldn't afford to leave. They were forced to endure the horror, living side by side with Bathsheba and the other entities for an agonizing 10 years before they finally gathered the means to escape in 1980. The current owners of the house still report strange occurrences, unexplained footsteps, doors slamming on their own, and the occasional, unmistakable scent of rotting flesh filling the hallways. The house still stands today, isolated in the woods of Rhode Island, a monument to an ancient evil that refuses to sleep. If you found yourself stranded in those woods and saw the lights flickering inside that old farmhouse, would you dare to knock on the door? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more true tales of terror. Good night.